Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Social Authority streaming live all over the planet. I got my man Pat Emig in the house, got my man Zach Jalbert in the house. This is the Blues in 7 edition of Social Authority here in 2025. So, gentlemen, everything on the line tonight for the Blues. What are we looking at here, Emig? Game 6, do or die. They either win it or the season is over.
Yeah, I would if I bet money on this game tonight, I would bet the Blues are going to win.
Absolutely. I mean, we dominated them at home.
We have the best big game goalie. He didn't play his best game in Game 5, but the team he gives the team almost a feeling of like invincibility, where they know that even if they mess up and screw up, that their goalie's probably going to save them. So. I see them winning. And Hellebuyck, all the national people from, like, I'm not here to trash TNT and the broadcast.
I am, but Emig isn't.
Well, the TNT, the pregame and the, like, intermission show with
100% agree, and you called me out on that on text. They were pretty decent.
Solid.
Right.
They were really good. The actual broadcasts, for some reason, are never as loud. They never reflect the actual crowd noise. So the broadcasts aren't that good. So if you're local, you got to watch it on FanDuel Sports. And that's not a plug for them as much as the truth. But I think Hellebuyck, all these national folks were saying how Hellebuyck played so great in Game 5. That guy is, and he might have played a better game than up until Game 1, but that guy's squeezing everything. And what I mean by that is, like, every time he's saving it, he does not look comfortable. And I think if he lets in another soft goal tonight, especially early, they're going to just be praying they get back to Winnipeg. So I would put the house on the Blues tonight, especially since John Gruden, the John Gruden, the unofficial mascot. Now he's kind of like the new Jobu. He's going to be in St. Louis tonight because the Blues kind of adopted him because of the internet.
I think that the Pat Maroon support's been big too. Honestly, especially as a hometown dude, he won it all. He showed up big in those series. I'm a big fan of him, and the fact that he's at these games supporting this team. Even backstage in the arena, or, in the locker room, I guess you call it. Dude, that's dope. And the city needs it.
And he retired from the Blackhawks, 3 weeks ago, his last game. They were in St. Louis for one of his last games. Actually, he announced his retirement in St. Louis in a post-game interview. So it's pretty awesome that he's obviously still kind of like here, and he's a St. Louis boy. So,
well, dude, he grew up as a fan and then took it all the way. His name's on the banner now forever.
Right. And the hockey community and the hockey players, like, I would say more so than other sports. And I would say the closest thing it reminds me of is golf, where guys who retire stay around and, like, they actually are still ambassadors for the game. Wayne Gretzky has done more great PR for the sport of hockey.
Totally agree.
3 weeks with the Ovechkin stuff, breaking his record. So hockey's just, to me, it's becoming America's sport. I think people are tired of ref-controlled NFL games. I think baseball, we don't have time to even diagnose why they're failing. And I don't just mean the Cardinals. I mean the sport itself.
For me, as someone who likes 4-minute songs, who likes 30-second videos, who's a podcast person, you have to communicate to people the way that they're digesting information in 2025. And the old way of baseball and football, and especially floppy flop basketball, it's just not even the same game as it was when we grew up. Michael Jordan used to get pounded by the Pistons, and you can't even pat LeBron James on the back and he's flailing on the ground like an Italian soccer player. It's pathetic. So, you got to call a spade a spade.
Soccer player reference too, because that's very accurate, actually.
There's a lot of soccer players that dive, but nobody dives like an Italian in the World Cup.
That is. I would argue that I think watching the women's soccer in the World Cup is actually sometimes better for that reason.
Totally. Because they run through the play. A lot of times a guy will get hacked. We see this in hockey. A guy will get hacked or slashed or whacked on the side of the arm, and he plays through the play. He works through the play. Whereas other sports, they just flop on the ground because they want to try and draw a foul. It's like, no, back in the day, we called that being a
That's right.
You got to play through that.
And what that's done to those sports in my opinion, I can't speak for everybody, but the final 2 minutes of a basketball game, whether it's March Madness or whether it's the NBA playoffs, takes 40 minutes. They review everything. And again, back to your point, I think that was well said. The way that today's information cycle and content cycle is, where we're consuming just mass messages and content day in, day out, fast, rapidly. Sports like hockey are growing because, like you said, it's a fast-paced game, and it's the best live sport experience out of the major sports. And I think that night that they had the Four Nations final in February, where it was Canada versus U.S. when Bennington beat Hellebuck, and now the Canadian fans boo Bennington, which is kind of funny. But
it's part of the game, bruh.
Yeah, that night baseball, I remember they made an announcement about, and it showed all their problems with TV, and it's just like, wow. On the same night where everyone's talking about hockey, baseball just took a huge nosedive again. So I think that sport. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would argue that if I was going to put, money behind a sport to become the quote unquote America sport, it would be hockey, which is kind of ironic because it's a Canadian sport, true and true.
It is, but I think that it also goes back to the fundamental elements of why we're able to do what we do on the internet and with companies and with clients. And that's the fact that the American capitalist system allows people to bring their talent into an arena and sell it at a mainstream level. And no other country in the world gives you that opportunity. There's no other place on the planet where you can be a talented person from anywhere, from any quarter. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you smell like. It doesn't matter. If you can bring talent and value to the game, you can get paid millions of dollars. And that's the only reason why the NBA exists, or the NHL or any of these things exist. And now people are tired of soft, just crap all over the place. And America is coming back to the days of Rambo and Rocky Balboa, and people want to see some ass kicking. And they want to see some freaking, Hulkamaniacs and stuff like that. That generation is now the 40 to 50-year-old buyer of products. We want to see grown men kicking ass. That's why people are posting about the playoffs. I've never seen people post about the hockey playoffs more than like this year.
Well,
it's all over my page from people from all over the country. There's a guy who just liked our stream. I met him through Facebook. He's a Winnipeg fan, but he's an entrepreneur. So, hey, they might beat us. We might beat them. But like, we're all on the same team in entrepreneurship and business. And I think that hockey is becoming...
Sounds like Chuck.
Right? Hockey's kind of becoming the great equalizer where fans of that aggressive style can kind of root for each other on the ice and off the ice, as Kurt Mueller would say.
Dude. I don't know if you saw.
Shout out to Ironhead Barbecue.
Colorado, it's not just the Blues yet. I watch as many of the playoff games as I can.
Dude, the Colorado-Dallas game was nuts last night.
Went insane in the third period. That's going to 7. Vegas won their series, which didn't surprise me. They're kind of like the new Colorado of when we were in high school, Pat, and like the Blues had good records but never got farther than the second round. That style of Colorado team, when they had like Sakic and all those guys, that's what Vegas is to me, where even if they don't play the best in the regular season, those guys wake up in the playoffs. They're kind of like the Bennington. If Bennington was an entire team, where maybe they're not the cleanest and sharpest in the regular season, but once it's go time, they're about as good as anybody.
I think that there's something to be said for the way, like you said, how fast the game moves on the ice, and also the timer. So I've always looked at hockey as like a 3-round fight. You're fighting someone in 20-minute rounds, and you can get beat up in the first 2 rounds, and 7 minutes in a hockey game is a long time. You could score 3 or 4 goals in 7 minutes and put somebody away in the last period. There's not really another sport that's like that.
Yeah, I think the game's evolved so much in the skill levels, and they're moving so fast that the idea of coming back from 3 goals, with 10 minutes to go in the third period, when we were like 20 years ago, 30
no
years
way.
ago,
but now,
like, this game's over. But now it's a completely different story.
And that happened the other night. And I want to make sure that I reference the Canadian analyst. I want to pull up her name too, by the way, because I have it looked up. I have nothing bad to say about her. She's actually a really, really talented hockey player, because I looked her up, because I want to be careful about talking smack, but she's actually like won gold medals. Who is the Canadian hockey announcer for ESPN that was doing the Blues game and commentary?
Probably AJ Mezco.
It's a female. It's a female, and she's played hockey before. So this is why ChatGPT is so powerful and why socialauthority.ai should be the team, or Imig AI, helping you with your social content. Here she is. Leah Hextall's one of them. She's not the person.
She's not the one doing the game now. She's in this. She's doing interviews.
But the moral of the story was this lady on a national broadcast said that the Blues lost because they didn't play a full 60 minutes. She said this before the game was over. A minute later, the Blues scored right in her Canadian face hole. So, lady, please calm down saying that they haven't played a full 60 minutes when the game isn't over and then we score right in your eye hole, okay? So that's something that you might want to serve up on your breakfast platter there in Canada this weekend, because the Blues in 7, I'm calling it right here on Social Authority. What do you think, if we beat them tonight, that we can take them out in Winnipeg? I think we can if we score early in Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, they can. It's just a matter of falling into the death trap of not getting shot attempts, which has happened 3 games in Winnipeg. So
they need to shoot more. As long as they try to put the puck on net like every single moment they possibly can, they're gonna fare really well. No matter what happens, that's it. That's whatever I watch them and they're behind or they're struggling or whatever the case is, I usually can tie it to that where I'm like, well, there's
just
like
put
2 or
it
3
on
times.
them, right?
Well, just just attack the net, and because they swarm and they're fast, but then sometimes they get just a little too cutesy. They're so talented, you know.
I was going to say that. I think that when they try and razzle dazzle and they try to play Canadian hockey, that's not the Blues smash 'em up style, and that's where sometimes it works though. I mean, that's hockey.
It
but
works
still,
in the regular season for them, but it doesn't necessarily work when you're playing a team like Winnipeg they're number 1 all year for a reason, because their defense, it starts with the defense, and people always say it starts with their goalie. And I would argue their goalie's kind of on the downside of his career.
He just doesn't look, you said comfortable, right? I think that's probably the best way to put it. There's like a level of confidence that he just doesn't put into every move, like you were saying. You know, it's like Bennington,
he's squeezing.
And Bennington looks like his family vacation every year was like going to play in the playoffs. Like that's how he is. So he's so cool and calm and collected. So it's a hard contrast.
Well, and the other thing is that we definitely are able to get in their head. I mean, there are like Winnipeg fans like commenting on like I post like a motivational quote and they're like, "Come on, say the Blues suck" or something. You guys are so mad. And the funny thing is that they're winning the series, but we're so in their head. And so you have to imagine that if we're in the players' heads, or excuse me, if we're in the fans' heads, and clearly we're in the coach's head because he was crying between periods because we were pounding him into the ice, and one of the hits was so clean they couldn't call anything. I think physically we're hitting them harder, and on the games that they won, they couldn't get rid of us, where in the games that we won, we buried them. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's actually true.
They couldn't get rid of us.
The Blues have out-hit the Jets every game, and that takes a toll by the time you get to a 6th and 7th game of the series. And they're also going to be without Schleifele, who that's the whole subject of why Scott Arnelli, the coach for the Jets, is so angry, because he thinks that, Braden Shen left his feet to check him, which Braden Shen's also a shorter guy. The irony of all of this is that everybody's crying about Shen leaving his feet to check him. This guy did the same thing to Jake Evans 5 years ago. So I'm not saying that it was intentional from Shen, like he was like, I'm going to do to him what he did to that
No, it's
guy
not.
5
It
years
probably
ago.
wasn't.
But
it's called hockey.
Correct. And I mean, if you watch playoff hockey today versus 30 years ago, dude, they were like chopping people's heads off. Like it was like, I'm serious.
I know. I remember.
There's like the stuff they would do after the play. Was
like
just
Marty McSorley.
Right. Dale Hunter. Google that one. Dale Hunter and Pierre Turgeon.
I will.
Pierre Turgeon scores a goal, and then Hunter just comes up and just hits him from behind, like wrecks him.
Like slap shot.
It is like slap.
It's literally slap shot.
Yeah.
That's like cracking somebody in the octagon after the bell goes off.
Right. Imagine that happening.
Yeah, it would
That's
turn into a whole
terrible.
nother fight.
Terrible to think about.
Dude, that's crazy. So, game 6 tonight, my buddy Carl will be there representing for the Social Authority AI squad. That site, if you guys want to go check it out, where it's under construction, but it's getting
it's
there.
No, it's good. There you go.
Well,
Yeah, it's ready.
Trust me, it's better than.
Is he sitting in the Social Authority suite?
I think he is. Oh, you did go in there. Zach's got it ready. Just go.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
go
it's
check it
already
out.
ready. Go buy our shit.
we're
What
gonna
am I
keep-
talking about?
I mean, we're gonna keep on keeping on, but it's done.
Yeah, go buy our shit.
Yeah, rock out.
Zach built that website. I'm a really great funnel builder. Most of you who follow me know I met Russell Brunson when I was the lunch break guy in 2018 at Grant Cardone's event, and I had no money. And he showed me how to use funnels to get leads and X, Y, and Z. So we kept all of those funnels. They're actually linked at the bottom of that website. I'll always be a ClickFunnels user, but I do think, as Zach has showed me, and is 100% correct about that, an overarching brand website is extremely important for you guys out there. And so I want to make sure that I live by example with everything that I say on the show, everything that I do on my socials. So, Zach, let's break that down real quick. Why that's important for people, because this is a marketing show. And then we'll get to the Blues in 7 finale here.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's important the bigger you are, right? So you kind of get to a point where if you want things to become maybe in a way larger than your own mouthpiece can be, right? Because I think personal brands are really amazing for getting your foot in the door, getting people familiar with you. But I think that having a website that is not just a one pager about, whatever.
It's not just an offer. There's nothing
kinda
wrong
what I
with
mean.
having an offer page. That's what
I
a
think-
funnel is for. A click funnel is a landing page. It's an offer. It's not a website. It's not meant to be.
So the personal brands and the funnels and things like that, they're actually going to work better when you support them too with the site most of the time. But I've done websites for years, and I think ClickFunnels. When I first heard about it, I was really intrigued, and I think a lot of the no code like building softwares are just they're so easy for entrepreneurs to use. So a lot of times they don't have to venture out into a website because they already have all the tools they need to make money. Now, if you have a business like a construction company, or if you're like a real estate agent, or let's say you do like home services, those are where when people are shopping you actively, like they're shopping your services against someone, then it can be a real big advantage. It can be a really big advantage there.
I love that, dude. I love that. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, these guys are off to a video shoot. Where are you guys at today? Let's give them some love. Where are you guys shooting some content at?
I'm going actually to Robinson's Karate. We're going to start doing some Cobra Kai skits with a gentleman that's training kids and adults across the town.
I love it. Dude, I think that's great for kids. We send our kids to a thing called Kid Strong, and they go up there and chop stuff and punch bags and jump and do rolls and flips and all kinds of stuff. We love it.
Shout out to my niece, Vivi, who went to the principal's office twice last week because she was hitting kids she was hitting kids with her canteen and hitting them on the head.
Wow.
And her answer both times when questioned about this egregious behavior was that because she knows karate. It's her only answer. No repenting.
Oh, wow.
Because she knows karate.
Hey,
People want violence, Pat. Just
people,
like
I mean,
that.
dude, I'm all about that on this show. We want you to seek a legal advice to see if whacking people with a canteen is great for your brand. We think it is.
That's right.
Especially if the canteen is branded. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Blues in 7, Game 6 tonight at home. These gentlemen are going to be filming in St. Louis at Robinson's Karate. Have a great one, folks, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's go Blues. Cool.